Because it's like, dude, if there isn't an actuality and an eventuality to the decisions that you make, it seems like there's an undetermined outcome that needs to be derived from the present moment, and then the present moment becomes everything, right? But if it is all just an act, right, and life puts on a show for us or puts on some sort of experience for us to have, and we actually just have to go through that experience, and there's nothing we can really do about it. This is one of those problems that you can't find the solution to it because it doesn't have a place to be found. These are the questions that come from the mind. These are the questions that come from places outside of the encompassing understanding of what life even is. So like being a person having a thought like that, trying to make some conjecture about what reality is, the nature of reality, in a state where the debate is life something that is experienced, or is it something that is invented in the human context? And it's like, I don't know, man. You start to go down the ladder of consciousness or ability in certain animals. It's like some things on this planet are in this fucking, because life has a range, right? Life has its endpoints. We've got humans, we've got beetles, we've got amoeba. So you really want to tell me that one piece of life is different from another? I guess that's one of the arguments, that human life is advanced and has much more. It's a separate thing from other forms of consciousness, but it's like that doesn't really comport with anything that we see in the world around us. What is that special in the world? I mean, that gets into a whole nother thing, but it's like, to try to prescribe some understanding on that, it's almost, I would say it's a pointless endeavor to attempt to do it. However, I think it does have a practical effect on the way that we live our lives. It's like, okay, me deciding to turn on this fucking YouTube live, not giving a fuck about anything. I don't give a fuck. I want to try to explore this idea. Was that my choice, or was that always going to happen today? Was it always going to be I was going to turn on this shit and start talking because I wanted to go deeper into my understanding of what that is? Because I want to understand for myself, to make life, because life isn't fun, man. I think that's one of the reasons that people try to do anything or try to get anywhere in life, is because it's actually not that fun. Some people have fun, some people have a good time, but those are the stupid people. Those are the dumb people who are having fun. If you know people out there who are they're just having fun. We're just having fun. We're going to the lake today. We're having a good time. You know what? Those are stupid people. And I'm not saying they're stupid and that the decisions are bad. I'm saying that they are not intelligent. They're not an intelligent enough life form to have an understanding of what's happening, really, to be miserable. Because that's where you get to. If you think enough about life, if you think enough about the context of reality, it leads to misery. That's basically science at this point. People know that. That's the apple in the Garden of Eden, man. That's the apple of knowledge. But that shit is not. That is the fact. Once you start to be able to understand this world, that is when suffering ensues. Maybe. But then again, fucking, cats get run over by cars, and that's might suck, right? Or are the cats just here as some sort of thing to give context to what we're going through as humans? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Now the next question is, does it matter? Does it matter? Yeah, it fucking matters. It matters because of the decisions that you make in your life and how you decide to. Maybe this is where it matters. That it gives you a little bit of peace and understanding in the fact that number one, it gives you peace, and number two, it gives you less. You're not running around so much, right? I feel like when I'm feeling, because I actually don't know. I don't understand. No one does. No one knows because it's an impossible question to answer. That's the truth. It really is impossible because we don't have an understanding of the context that the question is even being asked in. You pull back 2 or 3 layers of anything in that context, and you're in a situation where you can't even explain what thing is that you're standing on. You're in a room and you don't even know what you're standing on. And now we want to have a conversation about whether or not you have agency while you're in that room. It's like, dude, I'm sure the complexity is so far beyond anything we could ever imagine or comprehend. I'm sure it has to be. But then there's always this duality of simplicity that finds itself nestled one layer below the complexity. So things look complex, but they're actually simple. This is one of the fundamental building blocks of the universe as we know it fundamentally down as you get closer to looking at things at scale, the universe, physics, whatever. Look at whatever, Einstein and fucking Newton, that shit. Or maybe it looks simple and it's more complex. I don't fucking know. I don't know. And that's what leads it to and then every second while I'm having this, while I'm trying to figure this out, I'm thinking to myself, is this even something that I am in control of this life? Or am I actually choosing to do the things that I'm doing? Or is it all just I'm on a fucking roller coaster and it's going? There's a piece, I think that both of those things have a bit of a piece to them, a piece, P-E-A-C-E, in the sense that if you have an understanding or a belief that your life is somewhat controlled or taken care of and it's kind of out of your hands anyways, then there's peace in it. And you don't really have to worry so much about things because there's nothing to worry about. If you can't do anything, there's nothing to do about it. And actually, like, I'll find myself feeling that way oftentimes. And it is such a, not in like general, but I'm just saying, like, if you're in a situation, it's like you might have a little bit of anxiety about it or not really know how it's going to go or be a little nervous. It's like, dude, it's going to go how it's going to go. And there's actually not that much you can do about it. And actually, the funny thing is, once you have that understanding, most of the anxiety will float away and you'll just go through the whatever it is that the situation is, and you'll be fucking, that's the best version of you in that case would be to just release all expectation or worry or anxiety. And that's what that is submitting to the fate or whatever the plan, the God's plan. And there's so many versions of this concept that have emerged over the history of human thought. And more simplistic people thinking wouldn't listen to any of this discourse. They come at it from a religious perspective as opposed to an analytical perspective, which gives them, whatever. But it's like, the point is that these are not new ideas. They may be new in the context of how we are understanding humanity, whereas we're allowing. There's a difference between modern philosophical thought, in my opinion, and then more antiquated, or I guess in the last 2,000 years, is that there seemed to always be this prevalent understanding. We would prescribe some sort of grandiose understanding to a world which was truly ununderstandable. So we had to start with saying there's gods that are running everything, or there's a God running everything. And then from there, then you work down. It's like, we know that this is true. We know that big thing up there is true, and we know that. And then everything else flows down from that. Now, it's almost the opposite, right? We were kind of searching out with science, the Enlightenment period in Europe. We look at things, we're blind, reaching out into a dark space. And whenever we touch, we start to learn about. And we don't prescribe any understanding to the grandiose, or the ununderstandable is not even attempted to be understood. I do agree with it. I agree with that approach because it gives you're allowed to actually understand things as opposed to just prescribing an ideological, um, what would you say, facade. It's an ideological facade. It makes it so easy. But humans do need that. They need some sense of understanding. That's why religion was such a warm blanket for people. It's because it gives you automatically the big picture of the mystery of life is solved. But now we're in this place where we don't really prescribe. We don't do that anymore. Obviously, some people do, but I'm talking more as like mainstream, like academic society, whatever. So I don't know. It's just interesting. It's something I continually come back to, almost on a daily basis, where I'm trying to get myself to a place where I wrap my head around what is the actual functionality of my consciousness in this life. Is it just here to observe? Is my consciousness just here to experience the emotions, the imprinting of the waveforms on whatever the interlocking substrate or dispersed substrate that exists within, below this realm, below this holographic universe, whatever we're in, whatever the pea soup of fucking the world is? Are we just sitting here experiencing that? Kind of just like you're sitting in a pool and the waves are crashing against you and they're coming from somewhere, and the only thing you feel is them hitting you. But you don't have any control over the water. Well, sometimes you do have control over the water, because if you start swimming around, you're going to make waves. So that's kind of, it's inevitably it's a circular question for an infinitely long set of parameters. And it's a circular question that tries to answer itself. It's a dog chasing its own tail, but it's within a parameterization that has a line with a length of infinity. Right? So like you're trying to get everything in there. And even if you feel like you can, you're still going to get back to the same place you started at. So I don't know, man. It's a pain in the ass. I wish that someone would just tell us. So fuck it.